Hi there, I'm Viva, and welcome back to my English podcast. Today, we're talking about a difficult question. Should you give advice to a colleague, or is it better to say nothing? When does helping become judging? First, we'll listen to a short dialogue between two colleagues, Peter and Mark. After that, I'll talk to a great psychologist about what's really happening in the conversation. Let's listen.
Hey, Mark, I've noticed you've been looking a bit tired lately. You've been having some trouble keeping up with your work, and sometimes you're late for meetings. Is everything all right?
Yeah, I guess. I've just been,
Well, honestly, you've got to do something about it. You can't just keep showing up late, and your clothes, well, they don't look great either. Maybe you should take a break or something to get yourself together.
Right, yeah, I guess. I don't know.
You should try waking up earlier or planning your day better. I mean, if you stopped wasting time on other things, you'd probably get more done.
Uh-huh, maybe, but...
Look, Mark, I'm just trying to help. You really need to make some changes, or things will just get worse. You can't keep going like this. Try harder, okay?
Yeah, I hear you, but I'll see. It's just harder than it sounds.
So, what do you think? Was Peter really trying to help? Or did he sound a bit too critical? If you were Mark, how would you feel? Have you ever had a similar situation at work? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you haven't yet, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video. Now, let's hear what a professional psychologist has to say about this conversation.
Have you ever noticed how the most well-intentioned workplace conversations can sometimes feel like psychological warfare? Today, we're exploring a break room interaction that perfectly captures this dynamic and what it reveals about modern workplace communication.
You know what fascinates me about this particular scene? The way it transforms from a casual coffee break into something that feels more like an impromptu performance review.
Recent studies show that 76% of employees feel uncomfortable discussing personal struggles at work, and this interaction at Quantum Advice really demonstrates why. We've got Peter, who notices his colleague Mark seems to be struggling, but his approach, well, let's just say it's a masterclass in how not to handle workplace concerns.
That's such an interesting point about workplace communication barriers. And what we're seeing here is really emblematic of a larger issue. According to the American Psychological Association, only 43% of employees feel their workplace supports their mental well-being.
Let's break down what's happening in this interaction. Peter starts with what seems like concern about Mark looking tired, but within seconds, he's launched into this rapid-fire critique of everything from Mark's punctuality to his clothing choices.
And what's particularly striking is Mark's responses, which get progressively shorter and more guarded. Each reply becomes more distant, from, yeah, I guess, to barely complete sentences.
You know what's fascinating? Research from Harvard Business Review shows that when employees feel judged rather than supported, their productivity can drop by up to 37%. Peter's approach here is creating the opposite effect of what he presumably wants.
That statistic puts this interaction in perspective, and looking at Peter's solution bombing approach, just throwing quick fixes at complex problems, it's clear he's missing some crucial signs.
Exactly. The McKinsey Global Institute found that 68% of workplace performance issues are actually linked to personal challenges that employees don't feel safe discussing. When Peter suggests Mark should just wake up earlier or plan better, he's completely overlooking potential underlying issues.
Well, that brings up an interesting question. How much responsibility do colleagues really have in these situations? Where's the line between showing concern and overstepping?
That's such a crucial question. According to workplace psychology experts, the key isn't in having all the answers, but in creating psychological safety. A Gallup poll showed that employees who feel they have someone at work they can talk to about personal problems are 40% more likely to remain engaged and productive.
You know what makes this break room scenario particularly problematic? The setting itself. Studies show that 89% of employees feel vulnerable when receiving feedback in public spaces.
Oh my goodness, yes. And let's talk about Peter's comment about Mark's clothes not looking great. Workplace studies indicate that comments about personal appearance can reduce employee confidence by up to 30% and increase workplace anxiety.
That really connects to the broader issue of workplace microaggressions, doesn't it? These seemingly small comments can have lasting impacts on employee well-being and performance.
Speaking of impacts, recent data from the World Health Organization shows that depression and anxiety cost the global economy approximately $1 trillion per year in lost productivity. Yet, here's Peter, treating complex personal struggles like simple time management issues.
The disconnect between his approach and the reality of workplace mental health is pretty striking. It's like he's reading from an outdated management playbook.
Well, you know what's interesting? The Society for Human Resource Management found that 84% of managers feel unprepared to handle sensitive conversations about employee well-being. So, while Peter's approach is problematic, it's also unfortunately common.
That really highlights the need for better training in workplace emotional intelligence, doesn't it?
Absolutely right. And here's something fascinating. Companies that invest in emotional intelligence training see an average return of $4 for every dollar spent, primarily through improved retention and productivity. Yet only 23% of organizations provide this kind of training.
The economic argument for better workplace communication is pretty compelling when you put it that way.
Let's look at how this conversation could have been more productive. Research shows that open-ended questions and active listening can increase problem-solving effectiveness by up to 50% in workplace interactions.
That makes me think about the power of creating what psychologists call conversational space, allowing for silence and reflection rather than rushing to solutions.
Exactly. And studies show that employees are 5 times more likely to share personal struggles when they feel their colleague is truly listening rather than just waiting to give advice.
The ripple effects of these kinds of conversations must be significant in terms of overall workplace culture.
Oh, they absolutely are. According to organizational behavior research, one negative workplace interaction can impact an employee's productivity for up to 5 days and can influence the behavior of others who witness it.
That really puts the stakes of these break room conversations in perspective, doesn't it?
Looking at the broader implications, workplace studies indicate that supportive colleague relationships can increase job satisfaction by up to 50% and reduce turnover by 40%. It's not just about being nice, it's about creating sustainable, productive work environments.
Those numbers really drive home why getting these interactions right matters so much.
As we wrap up, let's remember that according to the latest workplace communication research, the most effective support often comes not from giving advice, but from asking, "What do you need?" and actually listening to the answer.
That simple shift from problem solving to understanding could transform so many workplace interactions.
And maybe that's the key takeaway. In a world where workplace stress costs businesses billions annually, sometimes the most productive thing we can do is just create space for real human connection.
Thank you for joining us today. Keep learning, keep growing, and don't forget to smile.